So this is the month of May, but throughout the month of April, we have been intentionally looking at how to harness golden opportunities. But that series took us throughout the month of April. But there's an important part of that series that I had to teach before taking a new series in the month of May. And if you're here for the first time, this is part 5 of this whole series. So you can find the remaining part or the previous series or sessions that we had on the YouTube channel. And the main theme of the series have been how to leverage golden opportunities. So today we are focusing on a very important part of that strategy, which is if you will be a kind of person that will harness, will leverage, or will design and structure your life and your career and your business in a way that life changing opportunities can come into your life, you need to understand how to go from being somebody who is just useful to being somebody who is highly sought after in your industry or in your sector. And we have been breaking down this particular quote that Winston Churchill, the then Prime Minister of UK, he once said that to each there comes a time in their lifetime, that special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered a chance to do something special. And he said, what a tragedy if that moment finds you, if that moment comes to you and you are unprepared. You see, God in his divine design, he has designed this life in a way that everybody at some point in your journey in life, diverse life, career, business changing opportunities will come knocking at your door. Everybody will experience that. Whether you are in a village, you're in a semi-urban area, you're in a big city, like this community is big. We have people from over 10 different countries, 4 continents. So people from Africa, Middle East, North America, Europe, Asia, what have you. Wherever you are, a time will come in your journey, in this life, where a golden moment or different opportunities will come knocking at your door. Everybody will always encounter that. Because the divine structure is that for God to change your life, he has to create an opportunity for you to harness. Your life does not change. Your career does not change. Your business does not change in thin air. No, there will always be a platform that if you harness that platform very well, your life would then change. And when talking about changing your life, it could be in terms of your financial status change because of that opportunity, your social status will change, or the kind of experiences that you have in life begin to change, or the kind of positions that you command will begin to change. But you see, all of that can only happen on the platform of opportunities. That's why one of my beliefs in life is that people that will advance in life and grow in life are people, among the many other core skills that you must be good at, is the skill of being able to spot an opportunity or to discern a life changing opportunity. And secondly, making sure you know how to harness or how to make good use of that opportunity. I strongly believe that your rising and falling in life or how you advance in your journey will depend on your ability to be able to discern or to spot that, hey, this may look ordinary, but there is an opportunity behind this that can change my destiny for good. And then when you come to that pivotal moment, Having the ability, the capacity, the skills, and the knowledge, and the boldness, and the courage, and the self discipline to harness that opportunity will also make a big difference in your life. So that's why we've been looking at this particular series on what can you do to identify, to spot, or to discern and to harness these opportunities in a way that they change your life for good. And you have to be good at this because it will be a tragedy that opportunities keep coming your way and you are not able to leverage those opportunities for either wealth creation, purpose manifestation, to become a person of influence and impact. So, among the many other things that we shared in part one, part two, part three, part four, and now part five, in this part five, we're going to focus on if you will be the kind of person that will harness opportunities and use them to change your life, you must understand how to move from somebody who is just useful in your industry to somebody who is essential or being a highly sought after. You see, every human being is useful, but not every human being is essential. That is a hard truth. Every professional is useful, but you see, not every professional in an organization or in an industry is essential or they have grown to become a highly sought after. So, one thing I'll teach you in this session is I'll show you four things that if you begin to do as a professional, you will become a highly sought after in your industry and in your sector. Because it is a mission that everybody here right now on this call is a mission that you should pursue to achieve in your industry. If not, there are some dimensions of breakthroughs or opportunities or open doors, as you may call it, or blessings, as you may call it, that you will not be able to experience because there are some things in the marketplace that they only happen to people who have developed themselves to become highly sought after, not just average people or useful people. You see that now? Because, like I always fondly say, the marketplace is designed to reward a particular set of people. Platforms and opportunities are most times given to people who have either the knowledge capital or the skill capital to make good use of that platform, or they have developed the reputation capital to make good use of that platform. So if you are the kind of person that career opportunities will come to you, business opportunities come to you, and you know what to do to leverage it at the highest level, not just as an average professional, but as a very highly sought after expert in what you do, you will consistently rise in what you do. You see that? You see, for example, God, by His grace, was able to orchestrate that I was able to, at the moment, I'm able to travel about 18 countries, four continents to speak and to do the things that I do. And funny enough, 99% of those opportunities came from people I don't know, I've never met before. But you see, I was having a meeting yesterday with somebody, with a top CEO. And while we're having the meeting, he just went on Google and did some Google search and discussed some things. I said, you see, this is good, this is good, this is good. I see what you're doing and all of that. And that alone was able to create a resonance, kind of an agreement. But that's somebody I've never met before. You see, let me tell you something, and this is my belief, and I've seen it happen over and over and over. For everybody in this call right now, It doesn't matter at what stage you are in life right now. It doesn't matter if you're starting. It doesn't matter if you're confused. It doesn't matter if you're uncertain. It doesn't matter if you're in a semi-urban area, you're following this right now from a small village. It doesn't matter. There are just some things that if you take steps and begin to do, by divine design, life is orchestrated to favor you. Life is orchestrated to create the opportunities that will cause you to begin to rise in what you're doing. You see, there are just some things that when you begin to do by divine design, the world is going to create the opportunities for you. And you're supposed to leverage them and put them to use. That is why I was having a session with my mentees yesterday, and I was telling them that, look, one thing you must learn how to do is to learn how to be the governor of your life. I call it the law of governance, where you don't just allow your life to flow by chance. No, you govern the way you want your life to operate. Like, for example, you don't just accept that, oh, since I am here now, I'm just going to accept where I am right now. No, if that was the case, God will not give you free will. God will not give you authority, power, and wisdom, because these are weapons that you can use to govern your life and begin to decide how you want the course of your life to be. That is your responsibility, right? So being able to move from just being useful in your industry to being essential or to being a highly sought after professional or building your business in a way that your business is not just one of the useful businesses in your industry, but let your business be developed in a way that it can be recognized by clients in that same industry. That you see, there are other businesses, there are other NGOs, but you see this one is this one is a highly sought after for me because of what they do and how they do what they do. Because many people, follow me carefully, if you get these thoughts and apply them, I guarantee you there'll be a shift in what you do, a major shift in what you do. You see, many people live their lives in a way that they want to be feel, they want people to need them. You see, when you stop waiting to be needed, you start succeeding in life. People live like, no, until I'm needed, then I'll show up. That's for babes. If you're going to play the game of the elite in your industry, you need to stop waiting to be needed before you show up. You need to start positioning yourself and building your capacity to becoming the necessary professional, the essential professional. Why? Because I have come to observe that life, career opportunities only find people who have developed themselves and are go-getters. Life will find you with more opportunities, more than you can imagine, when you move from waiting to be needed to doing the things you're supposed to do to becoming the necessary professional or the necessary institution in your industry. There are some opportunities that will now run after you because of who you have become in what you do. You know why? Because you see, being just useful is replaceable. Hear me very well. If you are just useful, you can easily be replaceable where you are in your industry, in your company where you work, or whatever you do. If you are just useful, you are easily replaceable. But when you become essential, when you become highly sought after, I bet you are irreplaceable. You are irreplaceable because you are not just useful like everybody else. No, you have become so essential and so highly sought after that you are irreplaceable, either in that industry, in that community, or in that institution. As I always tell people, if the only thing that you know now is based on what you did in your undergraduate program and in your master's degree program, you are easily replaceable. Why? Because there are 1,000 more people who went through the same program you went through, the same school, the same teachers, the same curriculum, everything the same. It may be in the same community, so that you guys are thinking almost the same. So you don't have any unfair advantage. The only way to have an unfair advantage is to double your curiosity and enhance your ability to learn and to develop capacity in areas they are not willing to develop. Then you can stand out and have unfair advantage. So you need to shift from just being averagely useful in your industry or what you do to being an essential force in your industry. And one way that you can do that is I always tell people that look, if you want to be a top gun in your industry, you want to be a top leader in your industry, one of the fastest ways to do that is pay the price of learning how to solve problems that majority of the people cannot solve. Pay the price and do that. Pay the price to shifting from just doing the task that everybody can effortlessly do and start doing the tasks that can even shape the systems, improve the product, or contribute to how things are being done in that sector or in that institution. If you begin to think this way as a professional, as an entrepreneur, or as a social enterprise executive, like those who run NGOs, you begin to see that there are some people that you can begin to encounter. There are some platforms that you can begin to encounter that will change what you do. You see that? Like I always fondly tell people that look, at people pray, people desire that they should have experiences or have partners or have people like elites, the influential people, the top gun in the societies to be their partners, to support them in what they do, and all of that. And I always tell them, look, being able to attract people who are more influential than you, more powerful than you, have more money than you, have better positions than you, and who can contribute to your rising, what they call kings of different industries, is beyond just strategy and wishing. To me, there's a spiritual depth of being able to attract people like that. And one way to do that is, you see, when you are too average and too useful, you cannot attract people like that. Do you know why? Because people at that level, they like to pay for the best of the best. They like to relate with the best of the best. They like to partner with real contributors and real people who understand what they're doing and they're highly sought after. So when you are just average and useful, there's a spiritual discrepancy because you're operating from a lower frequency and they're operating from a higher frequency. So you cannot attract them. And when you begin to grow from just being useful and average to being a highly sought after person, to being a true builder, to being a disruptor, and to being a major contributor in what you're doing, you can easily attract them because I bet you're now singing or operating from the same frequency. Shift, shift from being just useful to being the essential expert, to being the sought after person in whatever that you do. I always fondly say that look, when you are average and useful, when you do something, they will tell you thank you. But when you become essential, you become a highly sought after person. When you do something, they will protect you and pay for you. Do you get a difference? When you're just average, just useful, when you do something, they say thank you because they will not miss you. But when you're essential, you're highly sought after, they will start protecting you and they'll pay you well to keep you. or they'll pay you well to be their partner. Something happened a few years back where I didn't know, but I noticed this after, where we went to speak in an event, and from what I learned after, I was the only paid speaker in the event. Every other person was appreciated. You know what? Most especially in the African setting, it happens a lot, and that is so terrible, so terrible, where people just, please, can you come, and the people, the African setting don't know how to reward the experts. But at some point too, the experts don't know how to position themselves in a way that if somebody is thinking about you or wanting to do something with you, let them know that if you are going to get this guy on what you're doing, you will not just get him or her to end up saying thank you or making the guy feel as if it was a privilege for him or her to speak on your platform. So at the end, I noticed that I was the only paid speaker in the event. The others are just a thank you, come and speak. There are people there, they will know you and all of that. You see, the difference is that there's a way you position yourself in what you do, and you move from just being an average, whatever you do, but just being useful to being essential and being a highly sought after in what you do. It's important because, look, this is how the world works, especially in capitalist economies. Economies that are fast driven, capitalist driven, like the United States, like Dubai, Germany, these kind of countries, typical, sometimes they call them socialists and things like that, but at the back end of the economy is capitalist. In economies like that, look, economies like that, the CEOs of these economies, the founders of these economies, the directors of these economies, they only pay to keep who they cannot afford to lose. They are not charity. They are not love driven. No, they are capitalist driven. They are productivity driven. So they are only willing to go the extra mile and pay who they cannot afford to lose. So when you are just useful and average, they can afford to lose you. They will not miss you. But when you are essential and a highly sought after, they will pay you to protect you and to keep you because they cannot afford to lose. And let me go to a little extent. Even if they can afford to lose you and you're highly sought after, you will not be stranded. Because anybody who is truly a highly sought after cannot be stranded in any economy. You will not be stranded. You will figure your way out to monetize what you're doing to keep creating impact and being influential in your industry. If you are the kind of person that if you lose a job and you get stranded, it's a message to you that you are average in terms of usefulness and you are not highly sought after. It's a message to you. So there's something you need to develop and grow. Same as if you run a business, you see, especially small businesses or one-man businesses or medium-sized businesses, the rise and fall of that business depends on who is at the head of that business. If the head of that business is just averagely useful and they are not essential or operating as highly sought after experts in the area where they are building the business will slow down. It will not grow at the pace it is supposed to grow like every other average business in the industry. You get the perspective. So never forget this. We are in a society where nobody will pay you because they like you or because they love you or because of the mercy of God. And like Christians we would think. No. They only pay you because they cannot afford to lose you. And that's why there's something I always teach known as if you're going to be an exceptional professional in your industry, or you're going to run a business that will stand the test of time, learn to do what I call solve category defining problems. Every sector has a big, major category defining problems. When you begin to solve those kind of problems, your presence becomes non-negotiable. Your presence will become non-negotiable. But if you cannot solve category defining problems or profound problems with the kind of skills and experience and knowledge that you have, your presence can be negotiable. So the goal of today is how do you move from being somebody that your presence is negotiable to your presence being non-negotiable because you have shifted to being a highly sought after expert in what you do. It's important. And that is, you see, guys, let me tell you, life is full of opportunities. There are more opportunities to change destinies than there are people to harness those opportunities. I always tell people that, for example, like in the Africa, like Africa movement to Europe and America and things like that, Canada and things like that, I always tell people that look, one of the fastest ways to move across nations, become so good at what you do, I bet you people will pay your flight ticket. People happily become so good at it. But the point is that people don't want to pay the price to operate from that level. That's the point. Because you don't get to that level from the place of comfort and assumption. And guess what? No, you need to pay the price and go through the process of moving from being just useful to being a highly sought after in whatever you're doing or in the business you're building. So, like I always say that, look, if we become so good in Africa, many people will not need to travel through what is that route through Brazil and die in the forest and things like that. You don't need to do that. Because you become so good that these guys will happily pay for your services and get you to move. You see, there was a time that I was invited to travel to a country to go and do something. That time I was working in Yaoundé with Sea Life. I was a country consultant for Sea Life at the time. So I was supposed to speak in a country. I was so busy at the time, and they called me. I was supposed to go and do visa. I said, "Look, I'm so busy. I cannot come. They didn't want me to come and all of that." They said, "Okay, tell us the office. I'll come get your visa. I'll come get your passport. Go to the visa." I didn't even go there. All of that, and all of that. You see, when they need you, they'll break protocols to get you. They'll get you. You see that now. So you have to shift. You see, many of my strategies I teach in business and things like this are Bible based, right? You see, I like the story of Joseph and Pharaoh. You see, Joseph was made second in command by Pharaoh in Egypt at the time. Joseph was not Egyptian. He was not a citizen, but he was made like the vice president, if I can put it that way, of the nation, the most powerful nation at the time. A stranger, a foreigner, and a young person made a vice president. I always say that Pharaoh did not like Joseph. Pharaoh needed Joseph because there's no reason under the surface of heaven that a foreigner and a stranger should be made vice president in the country. There's no absolute reason that that should happen. Nobody would do that because they like you. They would do that because they need you. Because you're operating from a place where you are highly sought after. You are essential to their survival. You are essential to their rising. You are essential to the growth of that company, to the growth of that business, or you're essential as far as that nation or that community is concerned. So Joseph was not just helpful. No, he was the answer of that economy. There's a difference between being helpful and being the answer in your generation. There are many helpful human beings. But for you to stand out in your generation, you need to be the answer in your generation based on what you're doing. So are you just helpful or are you the answer? It's very easy to be helpful. Very easy. Everybody is helpful at some way in whatever level in their life. But you need to be the answer to big problems. the answer to people's problems if you are building a business, the answer to the market problems if you work in an organization. It's important to have that mindset because you become so useful and so essential at the high level that when you move, when you are not present, it's as if the system will collapse because of your absence. That's how essential you are where you are. Because your absence is like communicating that, look, if she is not there, if he is not there, the system will collapse. So you need to be the builder that is required, not just somebody who is liked. You see, and that's why we need to, many people, especially in a more corporate setting where they're employees and professionals, many people have the mindset that they want their boss to like them. I always say that for babes. If you work in any company here and you're the kind of person that you have the kind of mindset that how can I do things that will make my boss to like me? You're a babe. And someday you'll be sacked. You see, there is a possibility that your boss cannot like you, but your boss cannot sack you. Your boss cannot like you, but your boss cannot sack you. You know why? Because you're essential to the system. If you are removed from that system, the system can collapse because you're a builder. You are not just an average person. You're a builder of the system. You're a major contributor in that area. You're somebody that you don't just fit in, you don't just blend in. No, you redesign the systems. You contribute something. You introduce new ideas. Based on your track record, where you are, or in your industry, you have moved from just being somebody who fit in to being a highly sought after expert in that industry. See, what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that for every professional here, for all of us here, becomes so crucial, either in your industry, in your company, becomes so crucial that people can begin to panic because of your absence. You get the point? Becomes so crucial in your sector, in your industry, in your community. Why not your nation? But becomes so crucial that your absence can literally cause a panic. You see that now? So, because it is important to begin to play that kind of game. If not, you will easily be replaceable anywhere you find yourself. And that's why a lot of people struggle to deliver consistent results in their journey of life, especially career wise. Because when you're essential, you don't only deliver exceptional results, you contribute to the future of where you are, like either the organization or even the future of the business you're building. So, what will it be? Like I said, essential people are never unemployed. Highly sought after people are never stranded. You know why? Because I have seen people where systems adjust because of them. And I've also seen people where if they were terminated because of anything in a company and they're highly sought after people, they create value, monetize it, and their lives become better as if they did not lose a job. So you have to get this perspective. Begin to live your life daily in a way that you are not just growing as an average person. No, you are growing as an answer in your generation. It's a very important mindset to have. Every day as you rise up from your bed, are you rising up and growing as just an average person, just another citizen in your country? Or are you rising up every day and growing as an answer in your generation? You have to fall within these two categories. Either you're just another average citizen in your country, or every new day is an opportunity for you to grow as the answer in your generation. And those are the people that experience life changing opportunities, mind blowing opportunities knock at the doors of those people. So we need to cause that shift. We need to cause that shift. You see, one way to begin to measure whether you're becoming a highly sought after person is that based on how you have grown, based on the kind of tailored specific value that you have developed over time, either in your industry or in your organization, sometimes you can begin to measure what kind of gap can my absence create. You see, because especially for people here who work, if you work in a company, in any organization, if your absence doesn't create any gap, you are still replaceable. You are very, very replaceable. But if your absence create a gap, it's proof that it's not just about what you do in that organization, it's about your personal growth also. Is that there's a dimension of growth that you have also come into, that anywhere you find yourself, you will survive. See, I always want to tell people that it is it is not, you see, it is not location that decides success in life and destiny. It is not. If so, you see, nations like the United States, the UK, what have you, you will not find poor people, you will not find people who live on the streets, under the bridge, and different things, because they are just so poor that they cannot pay for house rent. You see that now? Because, and there are still people that they leave Africa and go to these developed countries, and they cannot still meet up with the middle class of that country. You know why? It's not the location that makes a person, it is who the person is. It is the kind of either knowledge capital, skill capital, reputation capital, and all these things that you're able to bring, that you can be a highly sought after in the industry, in the economy where you're a partaker. That's the difference. So it's important to have that mindset, to have that consciousness, and to create that particular mission. So, 4 steps, and then we are good to go today. How to move from just being average or useful to being essential and highly sought after. I took time to lay that strong foundation. That was a very long introduction and foundation, but I had to do that so that you get the perspective. So that I had to make sure that something shift in how you build as a professional, how you build as an entrepreneur. And let me warn you, what I'm talking about, you will not achieve it in a night after listening to me. You will not achieve it in a week, not even in 6 months. It's a journey, it's a process. It is something that because you have heard it, let it become one of your career missions. It's a way of living that you need to plug into and begin to advance in that path of life. And I bet you will see some things that will work in your favor because you're operating from this realm in terms of what you do. So, how do you move? How do you move from just being average to being irreplaceable or highly sought after professional in what you do. And if there are some of you that here that you're passionate, you love to be, or you're in the speaking industry, training industry, consulting, coaching, these are some things to also consider, right? Number one, identify what I like to call irreplaceable insight gap. Irreplaceable insight gap. Now, in every industry, in every sector, you can find a gap in an industry and build strategies, build solutions, build knowledge and skill set to begin to command irreplaceable insight solutions in that area. It's very important. So identify your irreplaceable insight gap. This is where you are not just general, no, because there are so many general professionals. Have general knowledge, good, but go deeper. What is that irreplaceable insight that you can bring, you can contribute in your industry that every other professional cannot contribute? You have that irreplaceable insight gap that you can bring in. That means you have discovered some patterns in your industry. You have discovered some codes or some things in your industry that you understand it and you know how to solve it. What I'm saying also is that as a professional, what can you see or what do you see differently in your industry that others in your space cannot see? Everybody has the capacity to command irreplaceable insights. Everybody is doing so many things. You can also do this so many things, but you go a step further and you build capacity. You build unique skill set to be able to do particular things in that same industry that an average person cannot effortlessly just do. That is building irreplaceable insight. So if you look at what you do and everybody else in your industry can do the same thing that you do, you're still playing the general game. Find your irreplaceable insight solution. Find it. Find it. Because that will differentiate you and make you a major contributor. And for you to do this, you will need to study systems, study your industry, study the past, the present, and try to anticipate how would the future look like. Because that is the only major way that you can begin to study and find your irreplaceable insight gap. You can find what is failing and you introduce better solutions or better ideas or better counsel and make it better. And that becomes something that only you or just a few of you in that industry and in that community or in that nation can begin to do. What I'm saying is you grow as a professional in a way that you have discovered that this is my uncommon intelligence that I can bring to this institution or to this industry that cannot be ignored. And everybody can find it. The point is, it takes some hard work. It takes some studies. You see, one thing, when I learned this, when I discovered this principle, I started studying. Like, one thing I like to do, like in the last few years, is that I'll go and study things that happened 500 years ago. I'll look for those books. I'll buy some I'll pay for the research online. What happened in the Roman Empire, Spanish Empire, the UK, the British Empire, the top economists. I'll start from where is the world coming from 500 years ago? Where is the world now? And where is the society going to? Then I begin to create frameworks, consulting ideas, and training programs that I bet you, if you are not a high level trainer or speaker in the industry, you cannot create what I'm creating because I need to be different in what I'm bringing to the public in delivering it. It takes a hard work to find that, but you need to find it. Or you cannot find it. and make up your mind that I am okay at being average and being replaceable and being okay like everybody else. That is another option. And there's nothing wrong with that option, right? Nothing wrong with it. But if you are ambitious and you're a dreamer and you're a builder and you desire to be a generational disruptor and contributor, then that is the game you should be playing. That's the game you should be playing. Number two, number two, there is something I call dependency infrastructure. Build dependency infrastructure around your value. Now, this is something I teach at a very high level, but I'll try to break it down. And I bet you this is something that if you understand it and practice in your journey, in your career, in your business, you have a very high level unfair advantage in anything that you do, either NGO, business, career, whatever, you will have unfair advantage. Build what I call dependency infrastructure around your value. That means you must have the value first, like that point one, that first step, that irreplaceable insight. That is your value. Now, when you have your value, that is not enough. Build a dependency infrastructure around that value. It will give you high level unfair advantage. This is what I learned this from Joseph. This is what Joseph did in Egypt. When Pharaoh made him second in command in Egypt, this guy moved from being just a dreamer to being an infrastructure builder. Don't just deliver results. Introduce either your unique thinking into operations, into tools, into routines, into rhythms. You see, Joseph did not only interpret the dream, and the way he interpreted it and communicated the interpretation to Pharaoh, Pharaoh was the one who said, who else can get us out of this except you? The way he communicated it, he made it in a way as if, Pharaoh, you only depend on me to ever solve this kind of problem. Dependency infrastructure. You are not just building a business. You are building a business that the more your clients consume from you, the more they depend on you. A company who practice this so well, or they practice this so well, is Apple. See, they'll build things. They'll build the laptops, the iPhones, the Apple Store. They'll build a whole ecosystem to force you to depend on them. You will not find any reason you will not like to use another laptop or any other watch. They have a watch. They have everything. Building a dependency infrastructure around their value. You see, that means you're operating from a realm where you are creating systems, you're creating frameworks, you're creating even communication that will force other people to rely on those things to function. That's dependency infrastructure. What I'm saying is, what you call value, what is the dependency infrastructure around that value? What is that dependency infrastructure? For some people, your dependency infrastructure is that you have created a training system. That if people don't go through this particular training system, they cannot produce the kind of result that you produce. That's a dependency infrastructure. So your value on its own is not enough. It can easily be kicked out or replaced. But when you create that dependency infrastructure around it, it makes it powerful. It makes it powerful. Number three, what is the third way that you can, what's the third thing that you need to do to move from being just an average, useful person to being an essential, highly sought after expert in your industry? Number three, become a custodian of a mission, not just a doer of tasks. Let me tell you something. if you will become highly sought after in your industry, in your nation, in your continent, if you are just somebody who chases just after basic tasks, you will never operate from that level. Let me tell you, mission-driven people are dangerous people. They don't do things because of basic tasks. They don't do things because of they want to please anybody or because they want to be liked. No. What they do is driven by a mission. Average people serve goals. Average people have goals. Essential people have a mission, a legacy that they are building. When you operate from a mission dimension, by default, I bet you can never be average because you are not just chasing goals. You are not chasing trends. There is nobody you want to please in this life. You are after a mission, a legacy. There's something bigger that you are working towards. People like that, when they're whatever they're doing today, they're thinking like, what is the contribution of this in 30 years from now? Where will this be 30 years from now? They're mission driven and they're legacy driven. Let's say somebody here, you run a restaurant. You see, average people run restaurants. What they will do is that they'll focus on let me cook good food. That is good. Let me make sure that I have good sales every day and make some profit at the end of the month and pay some house rents or some business rents and pay some staff. That is good. But if you will be a highly sought after restaurant in your industry, in your sector, you need to be mission driven. And the mission driven that, for example, you can put as a restaurant person is that we have a unique recipe. We have a healthy, unique recipe that if more people eat this recipe, if more people feed from this, we'll have a more healthy nation and a more happy nation, for example. And your mission is that our first mission is that in 15 years from now, we want to have 15 or 30 restaurants around the nation and let at least 100,000 people be eating from our restaurant every month. Now, you see, that is not something small. That's a mission now. You're operating from a higher realm, from a higher level of functioning. And when you have that kind of mission and you truly embody it and you're convicted about it and you truly want to run with that mission, that is the day you cease from being ordinary. Because your thinking, your lifestyle, your attitude, your execution, everything about you will become mission driven. And you know what I've discovered also? People who are mission driven are never broke. Because they say when you chase a mission, that money naturally follows you. Because you begin to do things that will put money under pressure to become your servant. It's a whole dimension of operations. If you want to move from being just useful to being essential and highly sought after, find a mission and become a custodian of that mission. If you cannot find it, attach yourself to one. People who either are running a mission or they have attached themselves to a big mission, those people are always greater than the competition. And this is also one thing I said earlier on, that there are people who move around and they're wishing that I wish I could have partners. I wish I could have this. I have, politicians or industry kings or rich people to partner with me and fund me and all of that. You see, people like that also, they are mission-driven people. If you are just task-oriented and goal-oriented, you are operating from two different frequencies. They are operating from a mission frequency and you're operating from goal, task, average frequency. So you guys cannot meet. When you upgrade to mission frequency, you will meet people that can finance your mission in life. They'll happily partner with you, either as business partners or funders in NGO cases, investors in company cases, and what have you. Are you a custodian of a mission, or you are just somebody who is chasing goals? basic task. There must be that shift. The moment you're chasing a mission is one powerful way to submit yourself to destiny. And anybody who aligns with destiny is always favored because every spiritual resource God released into that destiny will work to favor you. So move from just being average to being a custodian of a mission. Number 4, and then we are done. Multiply your influence. Multiply your influence. Multiply your impact. If you will move from just being average to being highly sought after and essential in your industry, know how to multiply your influence, know how to multiply your insight, know how to multiply your value. Because the more your voice, the more your ideas, the more your value lives in other people, the more it is impossible to erase you. The more you grow as a leader and you raise more leaders, the more you multiply your influence and your ideas and your perspectives by either raising more junior workers in your team or in your company, or if you run a business, you're making sure that you're training and impacting the people that work with you, the more you're becoming a highly sought after at what you do. Train interns, train proteges, train partners, train clients, whoever you can train, but learn, find a system around what you do. But you see, I said multiply your influence. So you must become a person of influence. And influence doesn't mean that you're popular. Don't confuse popularity with influence. Influence doesn't mean that you have thousands of followers on social media. Influence means that you command a certain dimension of expertise and knowledge and skills that you can influence another person to become good, or you can create value for another person. That's influence. Anybody who can create value for another human being is an influential person to that person. You get the perspective. So find a way to multiply your influence through others. But you must have this influence first before you can multiply it. See, the person who did this so well was Jesus Christ. You see, his disciples did not just quote Jesus when he left or when he died and went to heaven. They embodied him. They began to do the things that he was doing after he ascended to heaven. That's a pretty powerful way of multiplying influence in the lives of other people. Because when you look at the way the society works, you look at the way the various economies work, your influence becomes essential when your presence, when your ideas, when your value is multiplied in more people. That is when your influence becomes essential. When either your presence, your ideas, your perspectives, your insight, your solutions is multiplied among other people without distortion, without dilution, without it being, negatively affected. For example, you see, many people know the name Bill Gates because he used this strategy. He developed one software or one operating system, and then it was multiplied to every laptop and every computer around the world. Everybody at some point is using, we started using in those early days. For those who are Gen Zs, they don't know Windows 98, right? Windows 2000 or Windows XP, things like that. They have no idea. Windows 10, Windows 11, but it's in almost every laptop or every computer around the world. He created it once in his garage or in his office. That was influence at that level. But now For him to be essential in the lives of people, in companies around the world, he must find a way to multiply that influence. It's the same like if you're a business person and your business is just one branch or one location, you are not going to become highly sought after as a business by doing business that way. You have to find a way to multiply your influence. You have to do that. You get the perspective now. So it is important to play that kind of game. So if you do these four things, you see, because these are things I'm not guessing, these are things that I do one-on-one coaching, sometimes deeper with clients, and they go practice it and we'll build a structure around that. And it definitely helps them. Somebody's asking, use angel example. With multiplying influence, angel example could be maybe your angel right now is in a particular town. How can you do more work that they're doing in more locations, in more towns? How can you, if you have developed something unique? For example, I did this. We run a training center where we provide skills training, employability skills training. Started 2012. There was a time that, for example, I appointed country ambassadors in over 18 African countries, and these guys are running programs in those countries. That's multiplying the influence. We perfected a training model, perfected the courses, perfected the impact and the value. Then we packaged it, and we could replicate the process in different countries. And we trained more people to be leaders in those countries, and we multiplied the influence. You see, so you can do that with an NGO. Just multiply. How can you serve more people in different locations with your NGO? Or how can you, if you cannot do that, how can you find sister NGOs to partner with them? But for that to work, you must do number one. Have you created an irreplaceable insight, something that you have done research, you have perfected it, you have packaged it, you have structured it that if anybody copies and pastes, they just execute. You see that now? So that is something that it helps you to do that particular idea. So practice that and it's going to help you a lot. All right. I see a question here again. How can I create dependency infrastructure in a school and education system? You see, one of the easiest places to create dependency infrastructure is through education. You know why? Because let's say somebody who did dependency infrastructure so well, for many people don't know him, but it was Payon Francis. You see, Payon had schools, right? He had secondary school. I think the Wi-Fi, the primary school somewhere, secondary school, high school, university, and all of that. And I know many people, like those of us who did high school in progressive in Bamenda, many people left high progressive and went to National Polytechnic in Bamenda. For non-Cameroonians, I'm talking about somebody who owns a secondary school, a high school, and he owned a university. And then this same entrepreneur, he's of late now. He died I think while I was in high school by then too. He in his village, he also owned a school. And in that school, in this village, they used to pay school fees with foodstuff, beans, corn, and things like that. Because in the school where we were in town, there was a boarding section where people were living on campus, dormitory section. So instead of buying food, they get food from that village where people pay school fees with food and bring to these schools. But he created a dependency infrastructure where, because of his school system, if you do primary secondary school with him, you at some point by default you want to do high school with him, and by default you want to do university, HND or degree or masters with his school. That's a good example of doing that. So how do you create a system to do that? Another example is people that, let's say you run a primary school And there are busy parents. How can you create an after school program? Let the parents keep depending on you. And apart from that, how do you create more specialized curriculum program? Don't just depend on what the government gives you. How can you create a specialized, unique curriculum program that can make parents to keep seeing that, you see, the more we depend on this school, the more our kids are going to become better. For example, there's no government program that will have subjects like, let's say public speaking or how to build self-esteem or, maybe how to do graphic design or things like that. How can you create a more deeper curriculum that handles real life situations that anybody who is a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old in your school can be able to do those kind of things when they leave your school. So it's about creating more specialized value that will cause more people that buy from you already to keep on depending on you and to see you as the person that if they don't consume from you, they'll be in trouble or they will not get the best in life if they are not consuming from you, right? So you can do that in creating that dependency infrastructure. All right, people, that is it for today. Our time is up, and I believe that this masterclass blessed you and it challenged you in a way. One thing I always want to achieve in all the master classes is that let it challenge somebody in a way that if you have been comfortable, you go and have sleepless nights, right? You go and have some sleepless nights and think, what am I really doing with my life? Right? This 24 hours, what am I really, really doing with it every single day? Because, guys, there is more to this life that we can all achieve. Everybody has a chance at this life. Everybody. There's nobody God created and designed that this one, your only job is to suffer and to manage and to be average. No. When you see anybody suffering at any level, ignorance is playing a big game in the life of that person. And the more you access light, you access strategies and insights and deploy them, the more you begin to beat the game of ignorance and play the game of light, and you begin to rise. All right. So if you're here and you are not a member of Professionals and Entrepreneurs Fellowship and you want to join, we are going to share a link in the chat box. It's an amazing community of Christian entrepreneurs and professionals where we sometimes, for those of you who join this, I did share this on my broadcast list. I did share this on my WhatsApp channel. Sometimes I hardly do that. When I remember and I have the time, I share it. Sometimes I don't do it. And we only share this in the community. So if you want to join, please join. That's a WhatsApp link. Join it and be part of the community so that you're always informed of. We have different programs that we organize throughout the week, so you can be part of it in that light. All right, people. All right, somebody says we would love to on YouTube. Just a moment. We're sharing that on YouTube right now.